Hello, Facebook. Hello, world. Welcome to today's transmission with Nathan Meola. Today we'll be introducing Nathan, who will be one of our workshop facilitators for the Islander Man. And let me just bring him on. Nathan, nice to see you. Welcome.
Hey man, it's good to see you, man.
Lovely to see you, brother. I'm just going to turn off my volume, so bear with me. Welcome. Lovely to have you on, brother.
What's up, man? Can you hear me all good?
I can hear you so well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. How are you?
Awesome. I'm so good. I thought I'd just do a quick introduction for the both of us. For those that are watching that don't know me, my name is Nu, one of the Islander Men committee members, helping to put on the next Island event. And I'm super excited to have my brother Nathan, who will be one of the facilitators at the Islander Men on the 31st of March. And Nathan just has a really phenomenal story in the sense that, I'd love to give him the introduction that he deserves. So Nathan is a coach and a speaker from Sydney. He helps men live a life of purpose by mastering their emotions so they become leaders and role models for future generations. Now, at the age of 18, Nathan weighed a staggering 250 kilos and faced a dark future of uncertainty and pain. A head-on collision with reality started him on a transformation journey that would test him beyond what he believed he was capable of. Nathan's message is powerful and simple. Every man is being called to greatness. Suffering comes when you refuse to call, and freedom comes when you rise up and commit to your purpose, which are all things that we'll dive into on this call. Nathan, one of the first questions.
That was good. Did you write that yourself?
You know, I did not write that myself. It was a beautiful bio that someone wrote for me. One of the so great to see you, Jamie. Thanks for jumping on. So one of the questions I really wanted to start with, Nathan, particularly around the theme of men's work and masculinity, is what's the difference to you between a boy and a man?
I think one of the main differences is that a boy, even a boy who has reached maturity in the stages of being a boy, is still very focused on himself. Some would say that the maturity of boy psychology is the hero, right? And an essential step for all men to go through to reach the stage of the hero. But the hero is still very brash and very arrogant and doing things for himself and for his own advancement. You see this, say, for example, in the character that Tom Cruise plays in Top Gun. Very brash, very hero, takes unnecessary risks and puts other people's lives in danger to advance himself or to fulfill his own bravado. And it's an important part because through that, to go into the full maturity of manhood and take a step into that, is to really embrace a mission that's beyond yourself, really, and to move into the role of the king, which is not just about himself, but about his greater purpose or mission and really shifting from himself to others as a leader.
I love that. Thank you, brother. I realized that we dove straight into the big question straight up.
And I really wherever you want to go, I'll follow you.
I love it. I really also want to take a second to maybe introduce that Nathan and I really met through the Tony Robbins space.
Yeah.
And quite interesting, Nathan joined the Melbourne Tony Robbins community when he moved down to Melbourne, and we formed a really beautiful brotherhood and friendship over the last, few years that we've known one another. And I mean, his story is incredible. I mean, at the age of 18, he weighed 250 kilos, which is so hard to fathom
Even for
for
me.
most people, even for you. And, I guess I'd love to you to share that story with our particular audience and particularly your journey around that, Nathan.
Yeah. When I say it's hard for even me to fathom, it's a story that seems quite unbelievable. To even think
Mhm.
back. I mean, we don't really remember pain, as in we don't remember what it feels like. So it's hard for you to remember how it was even possible for me to get to that point. But I like to tell the story like one day I woke up and I was 250 kilos, um, at 18 years old, and facing, failing my high school exams, and um, uh, really kind of looking at the future and just thinking, there's nothing there for me. It's all darkness. Why bother? I remember making the decision at 17 years old, after facing another opportunity that we all face, which some would say like rock bottom for me, but ignoring it and continuing to go into that downward spiral. Um, and it was really the decision that I was going to eat myself to death. So I really thought that was the only thing that I was good for, and I wasn't going to do anything actively to end my life. But I really had just decided that I was gonna just go until the end, because I had no hope, no vision, nothing but darkness. And yeah, at that point in 2005, I had weight loss surgery, lap band surgery, and over the next 6 months, lost about 45 kilos or
Mm.
so. At which point, I thought this is the greatest thing ever. Like, I don't have to do anything, and I'm just losing weight. It was incredible. Well, it turns out that all of the things that had got me to that weight to begin with were still there.
Mm.
Meaning, eating was the only way I had, really the only strategy I had for dealing with my emotions, and now that was being stopped by this surgery. So I did what anyone in that situation would do, and I just continued to eat as much as I could until I was vomiting, and eventually, after doing that for long enough, I was able to re-stretch my stomach, and overcome the limitations of the surgery,
Wow.
and still with no vision and no hope for the future, just continued to eat, and I didn't lose any more weight from then on. I applied for the Biggest Loser season 2, and was like one of the it was really down to me and one other guy, and I was so sure that I was going to get on, that I gave up my university studies for the semester,
Mm.
and got the phone call that I wasn't in there, and that just destroyed me. So over the
Mm.
next kind of 5 years, my weight stayed the same at around 200 kilos, and my mental health declined, my physical health declined, and I found myself 2010, the beginning of 2010, really in the worst place of my life, like real rock bottom. I thought it was before, but it was then, and I had a bulging disc in my lower back, which meant I could barely walk. I didn't really leave the house other than to go to the drive-through of KFC and McDonald's. I was going from doctor to doctor, getting the strongest painkillers I could find from everyone, like demanding it. because I was in so much pain and really just isolating myself. I wasn't speaking to my parents or anyone really. I hadn't seen my friends for 6 months. So it's just me alone in total isolation, dealing with my own thoughts, really. And I was on the floor of the neurosurgeon's office, where he was saying, "We're going to fuse your spine. You know, this is the way forward." And I thought, yeah, let's do it. I was like, okay, this is the solution. Like that surgeon who put this surgery inside me, he failed. Every diet I've ever been on, that failed. Like this is all bullshit. My parents stuffed me up. I was in this habit of blaming the world. So I was like, yes, to this surgeon, fix me. And he said, there's only one problem. You're about 15 kilos too heavy for the maximum weight for this surgery. So we can't do the surgery until you lose weight. And I was fucking angry, man. I was angry. Like, this was supposed to be the solution. This was supposed to be the thing that was going to fix me. How can I lose weight if I can't walk? And how am I going to walk if you can't fix me? Fuck you. And I looked up, and my mum was in the office with me, and she was just sobbing, just sobbing. I saw the pain, and I felt it for the first time, and I thought, man, you got to do something about this. Like, this is it, do or die. And that really kicked off the beginning of the physical transformation that I went on, which was beginning to climb that mountain and start turning my life around. And man, I had no idea. I had no idea the places that it would take me. You know, and it's ended up. I mean, having to go through that and climb that mountain and overcome that challenge has ended up literally creating my life. You know. Yeah. Maybe that's enough for now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to hear like what you plan on sharing at the Island of Men. What's in your workshop sounds really exciting and really. I'll just do a quick synopsis of it, but yeah, there's this belief that your message is powerful and simple. That every man is being called to greatness, and suffering comes when you refuse the call. I'd love to hear more about that and hear more about what you'll be presenting and delivering for the men.
Yeah, I think that that men in particular are struggling right now. And I think for the most part, they don't know why they're struggling, and most don't even know that they're struggling. I had someone come up to me a couple of weeks back, actually, when I was down in Melbourne, who came up to me and said, I really love and respect what you're doing, the work that you're doing, because you know, my daughter and her husband are in a beautiful relationship, and two beautiful kids, and everything looked great and perfect from the outside. They were happy, you know, everything looked fantastic and great. And he committed suicide. My son-in-law committed suicide, and what he's left behind is so painful for everyone involved, and the family and the kids. And you just look at what people go through. And she said he didn't know how to deal with what was going on inside him. And you know, I think about that, and I relate to that feeling of having like a volcano inside you that you don't know what to do with, and are so afraid that volcano is going to erupt and destroy everyone and everything around you. And then being so fearful of that you continue to push down the emotions and push down the emotions, and the more you push it down, the more it cuts you off from people, cuts you off and disconnects you from, you know, yourself and from your vision and from the people that you love, and from any sort of connection, and really shrivels you and shrivels your character, and really stagnates you and prevents you from taking action because you feel like there's no way forward. So what I talk about is purpose, really. I talk a lot about purpose and what it means to not find your purpose, because I think we get so caught up in this idea that we have to find our purpose like it's lying under a rock somewhere, or we have to go searching for it by trying 10 different jobs, or getting a new hobby or something like that that's going to reveal a certain purpose or a direction in life. A lot of men get confused and think that purpose means career. Purpose means a certain job or a certain, pursuit, martial arts or something like that. These are all things that can help you to feel a sense of purpose, but you cannot find your purpose by looking. And I think a lot of men are stuck in the cycle of searching for their purpose. And of course, when you search for something, it's proof to your unconscious that you don't yet have it. So you can be caught in a void of constantly seeking and searching for purpose, not understanding that if you were to stop and be and look around at what's right here, right now, what you have, that is your purpose, that you are living your purpose right now. And most men never get to experience that. And that's what the workshop's about having men truly understand and experience a true sense of purpose in the moment. And I believe that every man is capable of feeling that, rather than this continual feeling of searching for a purpose. So that's basically it, in a nutshell. And I believe that purpose comes from 5 different pillars. I call them the 5 pillars of purpose, which is clarity. So gaining clarity about where you are, and clarity about where you want to be, and your life, and the limiting decisions and limiting beliefs and the patterns that you've been running all your life, and the becoming conscious of these things and creating awareness. Making a commitment, so truly making a commitment to being vulnerable, a commitment to being open, a commitment to love, a commitment to yourself and to growth, making a real decision. And I call it also like a commitment to living life. Like I feel like a lot of men just haven't fully committed to life. You know what I mean? Like life is something that needs to be committed to. Right? You can't just float by. You can't just expect it all to happen. Life doesn't stop. And a commitment is not just for a week or 2 weeks or a month. A commitment is forever. So I feel a lot of men have not yet fully committed to the journey of life. Number 3 is connection. We call these the 5 C's: clarity, commitment, connection. This is connection with yourself, connection with your emotions. And I think this is probably the biggest pillar here is connection and emotion. I talk a lot about emotions. I do a lot of emotional work. And I'll be running an experience at the event, at the workshop, which will give a real profound and powerful experience to everyone there, about how to really fully feel and process and release emotions in the moment. That's going to be super powerful, and that in itself gives a huge level of connection to the power of emotions. Most people in general, but men in particular, don't understand the power of their emotions. They don't understand that their emotions are their key to the treasures that are locked in the pain of the past. Right? So that's what emotions, that's what they're screaming at you to unlock. If they're coming up, the harder they're coming up, the more they're screaming at you to learn a lesson. So connection with self, communication, vulnerability, connection with others, connection with a tribe, connection with other men, connection with masculinity, connection with your father, with your grandfather, with, this connection with the earth and the sky, connection with nature. Number 4 is character. And character comes from facing challenges, right? Like, it's funny, when people ask me about my story, sometimes I say that I feel like I spent the first half of my life building myself a challenge worth overcoming.
I love it. Yeah.
It's like, okay, 250 kilos, like, time to get to work. And like, okay, now life begins. Like, how are you going to deal with this?
Yeah.
Because when I think about it, bro, so if I told you I wanted you to get to 250 kilos, how would you ever do it? How hard would you have to work? I think the same
Particularly
thing.
with my frame and my size, I would have to work really fucking hard to get there, for sure.
So I think the same thing of myself now. Like, if someone said to me now, I want you to go back,
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, I don't know if I can. I can't eat that much. Like, consistently work at it. So I must have had a reason why I was doing it. I must have
Totally.
known that I wanted to give myself something to overcome. This is also, yeah, man, values and self-belief and connection whole. And then the last one is consistency of action. Yeah, just action, 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 action. Yeah, people are trying to find their purpose, not realizing that action is the thing that gives purpose. So I say that these 5 pillars together, rather than searching for purpose or looking for purpose, purpose is built. It's built through these 5 pillars, and once you understand and reconnect to these 5 pillars, that's when you will feel and experience a true sense of purpose.
Yeah, beautiful.
How was that?
Beautiful, and sounds incredible, and it just sounds like such a powerful workshop. And the question that I guess comes up for me is, what do you want men to leave your workshop feeling, knowing what is the sort of outcome for men who attend your workshop, and what should they, I guess, expect or leave feeling, I guess.
The men that come to my workshop, my hope for them is that they, by the end of it, they experience a deep sense of purpose, a deep sense of purpose that perhaps that they've never felt before. Perhaps they've known that they have a purpose, but not known what it is, and have been searching for it. And my hope for them is that by the end of this workshop, they no longer have to search for their purpose, but they embody it and feel it and step into the world with the sense of purpose from now forever.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things I wanted to cover also. One of the things that came to my mind whilst we were talking was, knowing you the way I do, you are one of the most vulnerable men that I've met in my life, and I love hanging around with you. I love our conversations because of how vulnerable you are and how quickly you go to those depths. And was that something that you've cultivated over time, or has that been a conscious practice for you, or have you always been like that?
What do you reckon? I was I spent my life hiding myself from the world. Yeah, I worked really hard to build a persona, to build a character. I was so afraid of people seeing the the disgusting creature that I thought I was, and seeing through the walls that I worked incredibly hard to make sure that everyone liked me, that I was the center of attention, that I was the funny guy, that that no one could hurt me, that no one could get close to me. And I did that by all sorts of means, but the one of my most painful and hardest to break addictions was addiction to lying. I was a compulsive liar. You know, I'd lie about everything to everyone. I practiced lying. I lied for sport. I lied about things that I didn't even need to lie for. I lied when telling the truth would have been the easier option. And I lost myself. I mean, I lost myself both in my body by putting on so much weight, but also in a web of lies that, and a kind of, I feel like I built a statue in front of me of, you know, that walked in front of me everywhere I went. That was the thing that was interacting with people, you know, almost like a suit of armor. So vulnerability didn't exist because I didn't know what I had to be vulnerable about. It was all a show. So when I met Moret, who is my beautiful fiance, Moret had known me years and years ago, back when I was this kind of character. And getting into a relationship with her required me to go into a deeper place, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. At first I didn't know how. So we were disconnected, and there was no bridge to bring us together. So I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. I remember she asked me once to help up around the house, you know, and I went totally silent. I mean, I couldn't even answer her. You know, the emotions that were coming up was like, I don't even know how to reply. And I stared at her like a deer caught in the headlights for probably 10 minutes while she waited for a response. And she didn't get one. I ended up having to text her the next day to explain and apologize. And that's when I thought something's up, because the same thing was happening when I'd go over to my parents' place for dinner. Mum would ask me quite a simple question I wouldn't be able to answer. So you know, I was stuck. I was caught. I had all this anger and resentment that was building up that I couldn't let people see. And continuing to lie as well, and do all sorts of behavior that wasn't serving me. So when I started to do this work, it was something that I had to really work on, opening up and vulnerability. And then I just made a decision that I was never going to lie again. Yeah, it gets me in trouble sometimes, but it's, I'm telling you, the feeling of having no lies to keep up with, you know, of having nothing inside, just to be completely up to date with everything and not have to worry about what to say to this person or that person. That took a long fucking time. But my God, the level of strength and integrity, and the amount of energy that it frees up just to be is unbelievable. And I see men walking around with heavy hearts and unsaid things and unexplored emotions that are keeping them weighed down and preventing them from having depth of connection with people and love and freedom and purpose. And it breaks my fucking heart, because I know what that's like, and I know what it's like to clear it all up. and I also know the fucking journey that it takes, and it's sometimes, well, it's for sure the most difficult thing I've ever done. Way more difficult than losing weight. Losing weight was nothing compared to shattering that ego and letting it die. Yeah.
And I guess like touching on that topic, why do you think it is so hard for men to be vulnerable, to share their emotions? Like, what's your thoughts around that?
I think it's gotten to a point, I guess, in some people's lives where they practiced feeling and expressing emotions so little that they perhaps don't even know that they're there. I feel like it can get to a point where it's just so shut off that it's easy to believe that that's just the way life is, because of course we can't step into another person's consciousness and understand what it can be like. We only know what it is like for us. As for a more general statement about why men in particular, it's probably got something to do with a couple of things. Probably lack of guidance from older males and older males who are mature, true masculine presence. Loss of connection from their fathers, and from their grandfathers and their fathers and fathers, a couple of generations back. In African tribal culture, it's said that it takes 20 elder males to raise one man, to initiate one boy into manhood. I'll ask the guys watching, how many masculine role models did you have in your life? Most would probably say one, but even that one may have been at work, or maybe hadn't really, maybe he'd been around, but hadn't gone to those places within himself or healed his relationship with his father. So, and then even if it's one, you don't have the uncles or the uncles or the grandfathers of the other tribal men. So a growing suspicion begins to grow in boys about men in general and older men. Certainly, I'm describing my experience. And unless you have someone to teach you how to do those things or access those things, then how would you ever know how to do them? I also think it has to do with the fact that we generally, for a very long time, just haven't spoken as much as women. Talking just wasn't, talking particularly about those things just wasn't valued. It wasn't, it wasn't useful for the roles that we were playing in history. The roles of going to war and having to do all the things that men had to do, and hunt and all of those things, talking and expressing emotions and feeling those emotions, and it just wasn't valued. It wasn't needed. It wasn't. It was weakness. It could get you killed.
Yes. Yeah, I love that, and I couldn't agree more. And I think when I reflect on my experiences at both Menji and Island of Men, one of the things that really stood out to me was how little interaction I had with men of different age groups, and how little, how I don't have men in my life who are 70, 80, that I have actual relationships with. And it was a beautiful experience going to, particularly Menergy, where I spent 4 days with a diverse group of men, and men of all ages, and really felt that sense of community and tribe that I've in this modern day and age don't have access to quite as easily. So I totally hear you and really resonate with everything you're saying. Mm. Was there? I'm just going to wrap this up. But was there anything that you wanted to leave a parting message for the men watching and for anyone watching this at all?
You're selling yourself short.
Mm.
You're selling yourself way, way short. Like, you have no idea of the potential that's wrapped up inside you, that's screaming to get out. Like, my God, if you're believing things that have been said to you about yourself, if you are caught up on an identity of yourself from the past, if you are buying into your own stories about what you are capable of that are based on shit from the past and things that people have told you, then you're selling yourself way fucking short. You know, like, every single man is called to greatness. I say it all the time, because as far as you know, you're a king. As far as you know, you have the blood of a king. So act that way. You know, we need more men to stand up. You know, the cure for what's happening today isn't for men to become weaker. It's for men to become stronger.
Love that. Such a powerful message. And if you're watching and you want to know more about Nathan, you want to know more about Island of Men, head on over to our Facebook page, head on over to our website. Nathan will be presenting at the Island of Men on the 31st of March. Can't wait. He's flying all the way in from Sydney just to be there to run this workshop. If you're lacking purpose, if you're looking for your purpose, he's going to run a workshop for you all about purpose. It's going to be epic because I know Nathan. He's a coach, a speaker. He coaches men, he coaches women. He's done the impossible. He's lost God. He weighed 250 kilos at one point in his life, and he's one handsome, sexy motherfucker at the moment. But that's a small part of who he is and what his offering is, and I can't wait to have you with the Island of Men, Nathan.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. It's going to be epic. Thank you. Can't wait.
Thank you. Peace, guys, and have a beautiful night, and catch you at the next one. My phone is just